Like an introduction there?
I can do it.
Sure.
I'm good, yeah. Thanks.
Right over here on the left side if you need anything.
Okay. Okay, welcome. All right, so this talk is about hackers versus auditors. Some of the things I'm involved in, I'm the local chapter president of ISACA for the Utah chapter, and I'm also involved with a local hacking group we have there called the DC 801. It's a DEF CON 801 group. My day job is at Intermountain Healthcare. I'm on the IT security team. I see one of my coworkers with me in the back here. And my background is that for a long time I've done putting systems together. Okay, and so I've learned a lot about systems. I've worked in healthcare for probably 20 years, doing various kinds of IT work, and in the last 10 to 15 years, kind of got into the security. So I was down at Hacker Halted some years ago, a couple years ago, and we were having a nice discussion about, well, what would we do, or how would I, interact with the hackers? Just by raise of hands, how many in the group here are auditors of any kind? CISA, internal audit, one, two, couple. Okay, it's not quite half the crowd. How many would consider yourself a hacker? Okay, I hope by the end of the discussion that more of you will think of yourself as a hacker. I'd like to thank Weasel for his great review and mentoring. That was really helpful. This was originally presented several times at ISACA groups, and it was slanted really towards internal audit. And so I think with some great changes and recommendations, we've been able to make it a little more relevant also for hackers. So we're sitting around deciding and talking about, well, how would we talk about the interaction between hackers and auditors? And so we came up with this idea. I don't have any speakers plugged in, but we'll see if you can hear my sound okay.
Okay, we can go.
Okay. So, real or fake? What do you think? Was that a real hack? Or was it just slick marketing? Okay. But the point is, it's probably slick marketing. The point is, though, that it's fun, it's amusing to think about. We have certainly a lot of people that can do way more intense stuff than that. It's probably possible. It's within the realm of possibility. Let's see. Okay. So, what are the elements, right? We have hackers, right? These DC 801. There's a lot of hacking groups, DEF CON hacking groups. I always like to throw in the picture of the Matrix because my name is Anderson, and I always think that's funny. So, okay. What you'll notice with the presentation too is we kind of go back and forth a little bit on audit, a little bit on hacking. So what's the mindset of an auditor? Okay, spend a lot of time understanding scripts, understanding checklists, right? Hopefully, we would develop some professional skepticism. I think that's probably the main point. You look at something, or you interview somebody, or you're understanding what it is that they're doing, and you don't always trust them, but you're not combative. So that's what professional skepticism is about. All right, what's the mindset of a hacker like? Okay. I think hackers are really interesting in the challenge, more so than just the money aspect of a hack. I think persistence is a real good word. You'll see that a little bit later on. Okay, so in audit, firms are after a certain kind of person that can do this, right? They look, of course, for certification and those things. These are the things they're trying to do to improve auditors they have, or this is what they would look for in folks that they might hire. Okay? So, who likes to document? Anyone? There's one person. So it doesn't matter whether you're talking to the audit crowd or whether you're talking to the people who are writing code. Generally, nobody really likes it very much, but it is important to do, and it's a necessary evil. And some people like it, right? They become really good at it. So what do we do in hacking? What happens? Making things do things that they weren't intended to do, right? Making changes. It could be simple changes. It could be complex. Okay. So I think that second bullet's pretty interesting. So it's not just related to the computer stuff, right? Social engineering, the human aspect. Okay, here are some important things that firms look for of auditors. Okay, analytical and critical thinking. They've taken some polls. Communication skills, IT general skills, risk management, business acumen. Okay, that's what they're looking for. So what do you do when you exploit software? So you try to make it do something it wasn't intended to do. Okay. So one of the points of this talk is to understand what our company's looking for, right? Not just out of auditors, but what are they looking for in us all? Okay. Does anybody do any reverse engineering? Okay. So easy or hard to do? Or fun, right? It's interesting. Some of the things that happen as you do any of this kind of work might be improving your speaking abilities, right? Developing some board and community relations. Okay, outside networking and contracting. Become a better person in persuasion, working with the C-suite. Mastering new technology, right? And negotiating. Does anybody like to go down and buy a new car? Yeah, it's kind of fun if you've got time on your hands and you want to mess with the salesperson a little bit, right? Social engineering. So we had an interesting social engineering thing happen last night. We were at the Black Hat VIP party, and one of the guys thought it would be really funny to get a group of table of guys to drink some Cosmopolitans. So he went and had them made, and he showed up the table with these Cosmopolitans, and he had to get help bringing them over. But he didn't call them Cosmopolitans because he knew these guys would never drink them. What he called them was dirty sheep fuckers. And so they proceeded to drink them, right? Well, then the next guy who was at the table wanted to go get another round, so he went up to the bartender and ordered dirty sheep fuckers. Well, of course, the bartender didn't know. The bartender didn't know what that was. So that proceeded all night long, and pretty soon all the bartenders there were about 4 or 5 of them around, and they had it all figured out pretty soon. But and they were different every time, right? So it might be Cosmo, it might be whatever, but fun little social engineering experiment. We laughed so hard until we cried. So what makes an IT auditor effective? These are some of the things. Integrity, teamwork, continuous learning. I think that's really important. You always got to be learning. And that's really one of the key points of this talk is you always have to be learning. And a good way to do that is to start to associate yourself with groups. If you're only in the audit community, how do you start to be involved in the hacking community? Or if you're in the hacking community, how do you start to be involved in the audit community? I don't know what's up with my...
It's the projector.
It's the projector? Okay. I thought that was just leftover nom haze from last night or whatever. So we've all heard the 3 different kinds of hackers, right? We're going to maybe take a quick look at it, because my next thing is a video. Okay, no, nobody move. Thank you. So essentially, the white hat hackers are the good guys, right? They're the guys that learn how to hack to hopefully prevent other people from hacking. Black hats, right? Those are usually the bad guys, considered the bad guys. Gray hats, somewhere in the middle.
My handle is Mr. Matt. I'm Blake M. I've been on down at pound 2600 for probably 2 years now.
My handle is Shervu. Sometimes I'm referred to as Iteo and Shervu.
Ron Bauman. I'm Cybergaz. The Clone.
I'm in a group called Riders of the Short Bus. Rockship, popular for the bind and not the exploits of about 98 and 99.
The type of thing I am is called an old school hacker. This means, among other things, that I think it's cool to go in, go back out, and leave no evidence. If somebody can tell you were there, you didn't do it right. Absolutely didn't do it right.
I've always been pushing things, got in trouble quite a bit, and I'm not really sure if that led exactly into this, but it helps how just to me. I think my targets based on information that they had on the machines, types of machines that they had access to themselves, and things of that nature. Usually when I'm packing something, it's an impulse hack. It's just right there. But every now and then I'll get a system that'll target for like a month, premeditate, and look at it. It takes me a while to secure. So my hacking style is kind of a blitz, just rush in, take control of everything, and then clean up after yourself.
If you're talking about how many systems have I compromised, I gotta tell you, I have no idea. I can tell you the first one I compromised was a cyber. That's 100 billion years ago, because I discovered that if you could map the user space onto the system space so that they both started at 0, you would then gain the same power as the equivalent account to root. Probably that changed my life.
In my opinion, the most price target is any kind of distribution site that has programs or source that people will be installing on their boxes. Operating system distributions, things like that. It really depends on your methods. If you see an exploit on BugTrack, you scan, you can get rid of 100 boxes at night just by scanning. I've probably hacked hundreds of thousands of machines all across the world. The number of compromised boxes that we could have had, probably 10 to 20 times the ones we've actually done, easily.
If you make something too user-friendly, too easy to set up, you get the user used to not being careful. And it becomes vulnerable simply because the person that's setting it up doesn't need the skill that a person setting up a server should have.
It's all about not setting these systems to defaults and keeping up with the security exploits. Exactly. I think the biggest security hole, as for with computers and telecom, is defaults and just human sloppiness and laziness. Yeah, and I think that one of the biggest security holes is the fact that people can be social engineered so easily. Yeah, people can be tricked so easily. Well, Mitnick showed that. Oh, absolutely. I mean, his best hacking was over the phone, social engineering and tricking people into doing what he wanted.
People don't patch, and you can depend on them. You can count on them to forget a machine. If you've got a network full of machines, you know there's one machine they forgot. You can always get in. There's always a machine sitting in the closet somewhere. People aren't thinking about it anymore. It's still sitting on the network, vulnerable, even though everybody's taking care of all the other machines, because they're not thinking about that anymore. It's slow, no one uses it, who cares?
The way things are going now, I think that getting caught is a pretty difficult thing now. There's a lot of kids out there, and there's a lot of problems for the law enforcement agencies to follow up on, and I feel the odds are greatly in my favor. Every box I've ever rooted, they've never known about it. I've fixed the hole when I've actually let go of the box. think that 802.11 and that whole thing is about to blow up. As I'm sure you'll hear a lot about here at DEF CON. It's really crazy and it's really wide open. I'm sure that there's going to be a whole new generation of security products.
Intrusion detection systems are getting more and more sophisticated, more and more AI in the background. Where is it going? I don't know. It's critical. It's always often overlooked, but people, every day are learning that it's more and more critical as everything becomes more and more automated.
Yeah, I guess I'm counterculture. On average, I'm in my first corporate network in 10 minutes. That was so easy to do. E-commerce site, credit cards. I own you! Software company here, another doggoner. Dude, watch, this is where capitalism meets my delete key. To all those with lame internet security, I salute you.
Because there's a different threat every day, you need more than firewalls and antivirus. You need internet security systems.
This is my masterpiece. It's a worm. Blows right through your firewall. It's like a crazy cocktail, a hybrid. Gets in through web, email, chat, antivirus. Nah, I can't keep up. Can't get in one way, get in 5 others. It's like a symphony that will change the world. No one will know it's me.
In a world where there's a different threat every day, you need a different kind of security. Internet security systems.
So you want to let me go? Fine. Okay, fine. Now let's let go some things of yours. How about accounts receivable for the past 2 years? Let go. Payroll, let go. My below average employment history. Terminated.
Because there's a different threat every day, you need more than firewalls and antivirus. You need internet security systems.
Okay, so anybody here was at DEF CON 9? Okay. 10 minutes, great. So they were bringing up a couple of interesting thoughts. This is, 2001, right? And they were talking about web, right? And we saw what happened throughout kind of the rest of the early 2000s with web and how easy it was to penetrate, and there's been just a ton of stuff on that. But that was a good early warning indicator if you think about it, if you look back in history and say, okay, if I were an auditor during that time and I was hanging out at DEF CON and I was hearing about some of the problems with web, I would have really a good something I wouldn't learn by a checklist or by a framework. I'd be hearing about that, and that's really the point. Is when you start to partner and spend time in another discipline, you're going to hear those things and do better. So likewise, in the hacking world, a lot of things have evolved since that time. We're up to like COBIT 5 in framework, and so our checklists have gotten better, and so those things have gotten better. So if you were on the hacking side, how would you start to understand what those are, right? Okay, the hacker mindset. We have a lot of interesting problems, fascinating problems to solve. Hopefully you don't have to solve it twice. I'm a big fan of automation myself. Okay. An attitude. Okay, so the ongoing experiment, right? If you're an auditor, begin studying with hackers. Spend time with them, right? Come to DEF CON. Come to Come to BSides. Come to these different conferences and learn. Familiarize yourself with communities. Right? There's a lot of them around. And if it's of interest, start to gain some certifications. A lot can be gained from that. They're pretty valuable. Not all of them are valuable, but it seems like it's helpful to have a few. Okay. I think the value is how much you put into it, really. So this could happen to you. This is what happened to me last year. I was at the pool party. In the audit world, you wouldn't think that this might be possible, but at the pool party, because I was hanging out with, this kind of a crowd, and they had a monkey, well, they ended up putting it on my head because they thought it'd be funny to take pictures of. And we've had a lot of good laughs over that. So the Swedes, so we're a group of Swedes, about 5 or 6 of them, and it was kind of funny because they have really pretty good English, but some of the ways they say things in English can be quite funny, and so they were giving me quite a hard time about that. Here's some of the benefits. Be able to answer why. That's really important. Why does something work a way? Why should it work a certain way, or why does it have to work a certain way, or why do you keep doing things the same way, right? Knowing your adversary. On the hacking side, the networking is really important. Having a little bit better ability to engage with the C-suite, and depending on your level in the hacking world, some hackers get all the ability they want because they're coming in usually to save the day, right? So the C-suite is calling them. Others are, at different levels, they might not have those opportunities, so you can start to get some of those opportunities. Consulting gigs are always nice to have. Some of the possible common traits between the two. I've worked in both realms, and I think integrity and work ethic are huge. The teamwork we've talked about. The desire to make the world a better place, right? That's huge. So Mark Zuckerberg talks about the hacker way. If it's impossible, that's an interesting challenge. Right. So continuous learning and understanding, improvement, automating. Hackers can understand what auditors are doing. They can become more effective, maybe a little bit more slippery. It's kind of a great cat and mouse game, actually. Right? So we have a lot to gain by working together. You guys will all have access to my presentation. Some references in there for you. Any questions or thoughts? Okay. Really appreciate everybody's time today. Thanks for coming out.